Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, man. Welcome back. What are we talking about today?
What do you want to talk about?
Anything you want? Yeah, that'd be most interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it would.
Your daughter playing still at Corvallis
Mm-hmm.
High School?
Yeah, she did
High school
not.
basketball show on this Friday.
Feature her, number 12, Kate Rueck, Kate McKenna.
Do you have an opening statement you want to start with? Or
Nope.
should we just hop into questions?
Questions.
All right, go ahead, Lance.
One thing we haven't talked about yet since the news broke is your thoughts on the scheduling agreement with the West Coast Conference. What are your thoughts on what that means for the program and where things are looking for you guys for the next couple of years?
It's hard to say. I think right now, I haven't had a whole lot to think about, time to think about it. There's been so much speculation for so long that your mind kind of wanders over there. It was interesting timing. I mean, we get back, from Maui, and then it was the next day, like after we'd all dispersed, and then we get back and we got 2 games in 6 days, including, the first Pac-12 game. So there hasn't been a ton of time for it. What it means, I don't know. We're just going to keep rolling. I mean, that's what it means to me. It's like, okay, we've got something seems firm. I actually don't know the details of it. I've not asked many questions about it. I've just heard what you've heard. And, my intent is, I came here to compete at the highest level, and that's what I intend to continue to do, one way or another. And so, I don't.
Yeah.
We just operate within whatever the parameters are at the highest level.
Is this a question that any of the players have brought up with you?
No.
No.
I've not had one conversation about it. Just game 1 and then Oregon. Morgan State and Oregon. That's all we've talked about. And now we're talking about USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As you look back at the tape from the Oregon game, anything jump out at you from that game going into this trip to UCLA and USC? Anything you see on that maybe immediately wasn't there when we walked off the floor Sunday?
No, just more confirmation on what it felt like. I thought first half, it felt like we were getting good looks. It just felt like we were so tight, pressing, wanting it, wondering maybe, how good we are, that type of thing. And then it was like, enough of that, let's just go play. And once that happened, then, next thing you know, we put 47 up and a half, and that's what this team's capable of. So I think it was confirmation on that this team is really good, that we've got depth, and how much we've grown defensively, from last year to this year. I think that was evident. I think it was a very impressive defensive performance, and then we're very skilled, and so that ball really moved in the second half, and I thought we executed extremely well, and pulled away. So I just think it was more confirmation in watching film on how it felt, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Second half was.
I think you're 12-0 going into this trip. So the schedule. Do you wish now you had a road game under your belt before you go to Los Angeles, or are you comfortable with this being your first true road trip?
Comfortable. Yeah, I don't. This team is so mature competitively that I just don't think it matters a whole lot. I think it's basketball. The other day, obviously Gil felt different, and so getting comfortable in that, I think will happen the second we take the floor. And I think we're just here to compete, find a way to win, and who we're playing or where we're playing, it doesn't matter. And I sense that in this team. They don't care. They've got goals, and they're going to chase them hard.
Coach, I haven't had really the opportunity to chat with you since that Maui trip. I just kind of wanted to talk with you a little bit more about it, just kind of the work you guys were doing in the schools there, and obviously Talia getting her 1,000th point in her home state. Just kind of give me a recap on that trip, how that went, especially with the community work you guys did.
Yeah, Maui's it was perfect. The things you didn't see. Talia's family had us over, for a dinner. I mean, that was as special as it gets. I mean, we have, over the years, developed these relationships with the community. They've welcomed us every single time, 7 times now. And it just seems to get deeper and deeper and better, and to see the same familiar faces. It's like extended family over there. Then to actually have a home-cooked meal, I mean, that was as deep into the culture as you can get, So I just thought that was as special as experience as we've had over the years, and we're so grateful for that hospitality. And I thought everybody learned so much that night, and it was very impactful. The schools, we felt what was different this year, we felt gratitude differently from just working with, the people of vertical sports, Josh and Ben, hearing their stories. Derek Sebastian, the ukulele player that, is world class. He's been a part of our tournament for 7 years now. Hearing he's native of Maui. Hearing his perspective on the impact, the fact that nobody's really gone over there. There hasn't been something like our event yet since the tragedy happened, the fires happened. And so, it felt rewarding. It felt like it mattered more this year than it previously had, which validated our thought. It's like, well, this is the wrong year not to go. This is a year we need to go for every reason. And so we were so grateful, I think, to have the experience and to get into the schools and to feel that and just pour into them. But I think we get out as much as they do, as the schools and the kids. And then the community supported us so well. It was an incredible atmosphere at Seabury Hall. They were incredible hosts. And so, like I said, and then we played well, and Talia was unreal over there. And to score her 1,000th point in front of her family, when I say perfect, that's what I mean. Like, everything was just perfect. So, and you're on Maui, which is also just perfect anyway.
What was on the menu at Talia's home?
I mean, it was traditional. She's coming up next, so she'll have to describe it to you. But we had pork, just what you'd expect. But then I was full already. I mean, they brought this. I mean, it was so good. There was something I hadn't seen before. It was like clear, like a rice. I can't. She'll have to tell you what that was. But then she yells at me and she's like, "Hey, coach, do you want poke nachos?" And which is like my favorite thing on earth. And it was like so good. So yeah, so I was already full, getting fuller, and probably still working it off. It was amazing.
To this day?
To this day.
Coach, I do want to talk a little bit about now this upcoming matchup. Obviously, first off, against USC, you've got a tough challenge in that squad, a much improved squad from last season, especially with Juju on that team. Defensively, you've talked about how impressed you've been with this team. Is there any way you guys are kind of planning on kind of maintaining and limiting what Juju can do? And is there anyone on the starter squad that's volunteered and that wants to take that responsibility to clamp on her down and stop her from having a big game?
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's just like one thing you can do. I think you have to be so disciplined against any great player, and she is that. She's so skilled, athletic. Her handles are so tight. She's basically a point guard, with a scoring ability and ability to. She's got a great feel for the game, which means that you have to be so hyper diligent. You cannot relax. For that reason, I think like any good player, you've got to be ready and willing to throw a couple different things or a few, and that's what we're working towards is that. So I don't think it's one person. I think it's everyone needing to step up. She comes down different areas of the floor. She's, and she loves transition, which I think is when she's at her most dangerous. So for us, it's just limiting, and doing our best to challenge and make her miss. Because she's going to get shots up. There's no doubt about it. And so we're having fun. It's like any good player. It's fun to prepare, because it makes you, as a coach, really have to strategize and think and then figure out what aspects of what goes on in our coaching brains the team could listen to, adapt, and do. Knowing us. And so that's the fun of the puzzle. And so both of these games have challenges, in them that will stretch us, but I also like our ability to rise to it, and that's what this team has demonstrated to this point, and so I'm excited to watch them rise.
You've talked about tests all season long. Villanova was a test. There's been a couple other squads you've said these were good tests for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is the biggest test that you guys have had so far this season, again, facing two top 10 ranked teams in USC and UCLA, and that could obviously even make a difference in pushing you guys potentially into that top 25 conversation heading into next week, if you can find a way to get one win and, of course, potentially even two?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the way we've competed and played this year, we should be in that conversation already. I don't think there's any question about that. Massey has us at 17 right now, and my history, I think that's the most accurate measure. I think it's, especially as the year goes, but I think it's very accurate. So it's no doubt the biggest test, no question, for every reason. You got two top 10 teams on their home floors. We haven't had that yet. So yeah, two big tests, two big challenges, but it's what we all sign up for. It's the fun of it.
Reagan this season has just seemed to take another leap in her progression of being a basketball player. She's increased her points by about 6 points per game. She's getting more rebounds. She's become more of a defensive presence. What have you seen from her from her freshman season to sophomore year that really has stuck out to you, that's shown that she's already taken that next level that can take this team to even higher heights?
Well, when you are Reagan and you're a high school player, you're just catching it, turning, and scoring. That's what you're doing. You're stronger than everybody else. And so the game's pretty simple. I'm going to post up. She's unreal with her timing of pins and post up. I've never seen anybody better in high school. And I don't know if I've seen anybody better in college, actually. Her timing of her pins and seals and the way that she does it and her footwork is as good as anybody that I've seen. It was like crazy to watch when she's a sophomore in high school, like how good she was at that, and credit her parents and her coaches. And, but that's all it was. It was inside hand. It was just turn, pivot, and lay it in over and over and get every rebound and lay it in over and over, Then you get here, and now you got to go over and around, and you don't just get to catch it, turn, and lay it in anymore. Not all the time anyway, And so when our offense is firing and things, we can execute. Like you saw a few of those the other day. That was due to execution. But she is understanding how to score now in every scenario. And that's what I say. By the end, you're going to be able to score on anybody who guards you, whether it's a point guard or 6'7", 6'8". Have a game that can score, and she does now. So she understands that, and then without question, she's taken her defense to a completely different level. So I just think she understands what she's doing now, has embraced the challenge of how hard it is, and is having fun with that. And she's just able to concentrate at a much different level than she's ever had to. So she's embracing it, and she's demanding the basketball. Which every guard and every coach loves. I want a post who wants the ball. And that's what she's doing for us. So she's eliminating pretty much every weakness from her game right before our eyes.
It's crazy to see how much she's improved. I am curious, though, obviously, both these teams, USC and UCLA, very good programs and historically have been that way. Is there one of these teams that you're more concerned about? Both teams are good, but that just matchup-wise that you feel like you guys are going to have to do a little bit more to make sure that you're prepared to be able to tackle what you guys are going to have to adjust for what schematically they can do to kind of hurt you guys both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, well, I think that would be a mistake, actually, to go down that road in my mind, and I don't think that's the case. I think they both provide problems and issues that we need to solve, and they are unique, but I think they're equal. There's going to be two real battles for 40 minutes with two teams that can cause you a lot of trouble, and so it would be a mistake to say, oh my gosh, UCLA on Sunday, and then diminish USC on Friday. That'd be crazy, and so it's 80 minutes that we're going to have to play great basketball, and that's fun, but I don't think 1 minute is tougher or harder or easier than another. Yeah.
With an undefeated record, you guys have still faced some adversity in some of the games that you've played. You've come back. You've been ahead and gotten down and had to come back again. Just, do you feel like you faced enough adversity to really face a really challenging, like you said, your most challenging test so far this season? Have you had to challenge the team and practice a little bit more to get them prepared for a team like this? How has that process kind of been preparing for these two matchups?
Well, I think that's the dance. I think that's what we do. I mean, we haven't played a top 10 team on the road yet. I mean, that would be the only other way that we could match what's coming. Other than create the scenarios like you just mentioned, So we've certainly been in them. I think our schedule to this point has had the challenges in it, had the unique situations in it, had the different styles of play in it, and it has allowed us to develop. So as a coach, I mean, I've been able to go into our bench. I've been able to put different people in different scenarios and watch them rise. And Adley didn't play for a minute, and then she has a breakout game. Lily hadn't played for a minute, and then she might have been the most impactful player Sunday. Or just the one that put us over the top anyway, literally. And so it's been a bunch of that through this preseason that I think is preparing us for what's next. I mean, I think I just like the way that we have accepted challenges and risen to them, and the confidence that's come from this group through those challenges. That gives me a lot of confidence going into the weekend.
And then just looking back on last season, I know you guys lost a lot of close ones on the road. Do you feel like with there being enough, returners this year that they're ready this year? You said they're a little bit more mature than they have been in past years. Do you think they're at that maturity level to kind of understand how important it is to maybe get a win or two this weekend?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that's what they're all determined to do. They came here to win. Everybody was upset a year ago. Nobody enjoyed that. At the same time, the way we finished, wins against Arizona here, win against USC in the tournament, Pac-12 tournament, gave us confidence going into this year. But this team's determined not to repeat any of that, for sure. And so it's been so fun to work with this group. They've been so coachable. And we're on the same page. I mean, it's a back and forth dialogue on how do we handle this scenario. Let's talk about it, and let's work together on it, and let's problem solve together to where we all are on the same page. And that's how it feels. So we know we're going to get tested this weekend, and I think I have a lot of confidence that we are going to have a great weekend of basketball. Nobody can predict wins or not, but I feel like we're really going to play well and embrace the challenge, and it's going to be a lot of fun to work with them. And that's a culmination of hating to lose, understanding who you are, having confidence in our abilities, and being willing to do whatever it takes to find a way to win.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you guys.